Thank you for joining us today to see what our development team has been working on related to Pharos Uniprint. Jeff Harold is Uniprint's product manager and will be the expert taking you through the roadmap and all of the exciting content for today. If any questions come to mind, please type them into the questions panel that you see on the GoToMeeting screen. We do anticipate quite a few questions rolling in during today's presentation, so if we don't have time to answer your questions live, we will respond when we follow up via email with the recording to this webinar. So I don't want to keep everyone waiting any longer, so Jeff, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Lindsay. Welcome, everybody. Good day to our valued customers and resellers. We truly appreciate you being here for today's product update. So we're going to go over some updates that we're working on have been working on for a while and are preparing to release, and I want everyone to know what's coming soon. So we'll get right into it. Our July and August is when we're expecting to release these items, and we have an update for mobile print, which will be mobile print 2.4. We have an update for Uniprint, which will include Chromebook support that will be delivered by way of a service pack. And later we will have some updates to our apps, which will allow the ability for QR code release, and it will also pair the capability of our iOS and our Android apps so they behave the same. So you will be seeing some more information about that as we go through the presentation. So discussing mobile print 2.4, one of the primary things that has been asked for in recent times is customers are looking to get away from using IMAP as their methodology for email support in mobile print. IMAP is still our preferred solution. It is still the well-worn and good solution that we have today, and we prefer to keep that one in the list so it's there. We will also be adding the support for Exchange EWS, which supports not only Premise Exchange, but also Outlook 365. So you'll be able to support that with its native protocol. And Gmail, Google Mail will allow that capability through the Google Gmail API. So you'll be able to use that. That will be added by way of not only an update to mobile print 2.4, but also an update to Print Center, as you can see there at the bottom. In order to use that, in order to use anything other than IMAP, you will need to make sure that you're updated to 9.1 Service Pack 2 with the Print Center release that will come out with it. So you'll be seeing that released at the same time by way of your updater service or by way of the community. We also have added POP3. It's one of the other ones that we had a special request for. So it's there as well should you wish to use POP3. That's the update on mobile print 2.4. We are imminent on the release of that. I know that some of you have been talking about this with me or others here in the company. We are kind of working through a little hassle with the Google Mail thing until we can get that sorted out to our level of comfort. And you'll find that to be a theme here. We won't release any software until it's ready. So be prepared for that to come out soon, but not until we're absolutely positive that we're satisfied with it. The next item on the list here is an update that provides Chromebook printing. Google has decided to end support for Google Cloud Print at the end of the year. Google Cloud Print provided the capability for Chromebooks or Chrome OS anyway, whether it be on the Chromebook or whether it be on a browser, to send jobs into a printer. In our case, it was a receiving print queue that allowed customers to then go to release stations and release the I'm getting a lot of messages here that say that there's not any audio. Lindsay, I don't know if I'm assuming you can hear me. Okay, there are people who say they can hear audio, so it's not just
Yep.
Very good. Thank you, everybody. Good. Okay, so Chromebook, since Google is going to be ending support for their Google Cloud Print solution here in the next few months, we wanted to be prepared for that as early as possible, and we have come up with a solution. We've actually worked with Google on this to make sure that we get the right solution. And our solution is going to be provided by way of an extension that can be downloaded. You can see on the screen here what the Chrome Web Store would look like, Google Chrome Print. And when it's installed, it will be a little icon in the upper right corner of the browser where you can do a little bit of configuration. Basically, you just enter the server name, same as you do with a mobile app, and you're able to set up the the configuration for it to send jobs in. And then users will have a printer. We by default call it Google Chrome Print, and print jobs will come in. They're identified by the username, and if you wish to allow it, you can either pre-populate your Uniprint database with their Gmail or equivalent email address as Gmail has with the email address so that it knows which user it belongs to, or we have the challenge response that Mobile Print has already, which is to say you will receive an email on your Gmail account. You will then click the link, log into Print Center, and it will authenticate you and assign your Gmail address to your Pharos account at that point. And from that point forward, every print job that comes in, it will know who it belongs to. And then, of course, you can go to a print release station and release it, or release it from Print Center, or as we're getting into, release it from an app. So you will see that in just a moment. So that's Google Chrome Print. That will be coming by way of Service Pack 3. There's not a whole lot else in Service Pack 3, so that is the primary purpose of it, is to get this Chromebook support. But it does touch a lot of the products, so we cannot just release a quick update. So not only will there be an extension, there will be a service pack required to make that happen. That's Google Chrome Print or Chromebook printing coming soon. And of course, touchless printing has become a big deal now with the COVID-19. I hope everybody's staying safe and making plans for the next school year. But in preparation for that, we've been getting a lot of requests. And we did a presentation not too long ago. Many of you were on that call that we talked about touchless print release so that people can release print jobs without actually having to physically touch the printer. And Uniprint has this capability today, though many people don't use it in this capacity. And I'll show you how that looks, and many of you already know, but there is a way to do this today, and there will be a better way to do that soon. The solution here is to use Print Center and allow print release from there. The users can then select a print job or a printer from the Pharos Chrome Print interface and release the job. Now, I understand that many people turn that off because the list is long. Maybe they don't name the printer in such a way that makes sense to the end user. I understand that. And it also presents some challenges sometimes with the possibility that someone can release a print job from anywhere. Of course, you could be sitting in the middle of the lab, or you could be sitting in your dorm room and release a print job to any printer. And then, of course, if it comes out and somebody throws it away or steals it or whatever, that generates complaints from the students to your staff. And that's why many people turn that off. But you can see on the screen here what that would look like with the choosing of the printer there at the bottom. And then you can print the job out. But it is possible even today to do this. So what are we planning to do in the near future to make that better? Here you can see what this looks like on a browser on a phone. The Pharos Print Center is designed to scale to the right size screen that you can use, whether it be a phone or a tablet or a computer. You have the same functionality that you allow your customers to have. Again, you can turn on or off the print release capability right there, but it has that capability to do that even today. But coming soon, we're going to be making changes to our Android and iOS app that will provide the ability for a user to select a printer by way of selecting a QR code that has been printed and placed on the front of the printer. So they can be in the Print Center on their phone or in the Print Center app and they can upload jobs, they can manage their jobs, delete, add, change properties of the jobs, color, black and white, duplex, simplex, that sort of thing. They can just got another person complaining about the audio. But anyway, the use of the QR code will be able to provide that quick selection, providing that you must be near the printer in order to select that QR code. And then the print job will be, or the printer will be identified, and print jobs will be sent at that point once they select and improve the or approve the cost of the job, if there is any, and send it out to the printer. So that's how we're going to help to enforce this capability. Now, in order for QR codes to be printed, the print center will be updated with a user interface or an administrator interface that will allow you to print those QR codes out for your printers. And basically, it's going to generate a report, basically, or a PDF file that you can print in any way you wish. You have some customization to that QR code print as well. You could put your own logo on it. You can decide what information gets shown next to the QR code or below or above, however you wish to configure it. And then you can print it out on labels or paper or whatever you wish and stick it to each printer. That will allow the customers or the end users to select that from their phone. And as I mentioned before, and this is something I really kind of want to drive home with everybody, is that there's going to be a big change to the iOS app. That iOS app is not at all the same as the Android app. The Android app is essentially a wrapper around the print center. As you saw on the earlier screen, it looks like this on an Android phone, and it's going to look just like this on an iOS phone when we're finished with it. So that's a big change in the way the iOS app functions. That will bring all of the functionality that the print center has. That means the ability to change the print options, as you can see there at the bottom, the color, black and white, duplex, simplex, that sort of thing. You can change it right there on the app, just as you would from the browser. You can choose how you want to print. You can choose your printer from that list if you're allowing users to print to a specific printer. Or what you will see there, of course, this doesn't have it there yet, you will have an option to select printer by QR code, which will then, of course, open the camera, allow the user to scan the QR code. That will select a printer, and then you can release jobs. And the same functionality as it has today in the Android app. But you will have print release, you will have print options, all print options that are available, and that will come out with the release that we plan to release here in August. We understand that the school year for many of you starts in August, and we want to be prepared for that. What that means is some of the features that we plan to add, and I'm going to throw one out there, single sign-on in the app, we'll have to follow because of the time frame that we've got to work with. We're still going to work with the same authentication that you have today, which is however you've got your authentication for Print Center set up for the apps, it will continue to be the same as it is today until we can get single sign-on integrated in there in some way that makes sense. So you will expect to see updates to our apps, just as you will expect to see updates to our Chromebook extension as the rest of 2020 goes through. We're going to continue to get your feedback. We're going to anticipate your feedback and respond to it and try to make the apps better and better throughout the course of 2020. But in order to get something out there that is functional and uses QR code, we need to hit that mark in August, and we understand that. So be prepared for that to come out soon. And we're breezing right through this presentation. Also, we have updates to our community and support portals. You've probably received several messages about this, but I wanted to make a message about this as well. We are changing the back-end support systems for our community and our support system. And the support team has a new ticketing system. If you've dealt with them in the past month or so, you've probably dealt with that as well. And there are changes in the way those are looking and functioning, and even with accounts. So you will need to maybe recreate an account there, but there's information that's been sent out on that. But be prepared for the updates to happen here as we speak, really, they're in the process of making sure that all the content that is that people use has been moved over to the new system, and there will be more and more brought over. So we know people download documents from there. We know people download updates to the software from there if they don't use the updater service. We're doing our best to get that there as quickly as possible. So be prepared for that. And again, that's the presentation at this point. I'm going to answer some questions that I see rolling in, but I want to thank everybody for being here. And in a really tough and unusual year, we've all experienced some very unusual changes in the past several months, and I hope you're all dealing with it well. Pharos has been working hard to keep everybody happy, even though we're all working from home. I work from home all the time, but everyone else in the office isn't typically used to that, and they've been doing very well with that. So I hope you have had the same experience, and that you are able to get hold of anyone from Pharos as you need to. So with that, I'm going to have a quick look at the questions.
Perfect. Thanks, Jeff. You were quick. I think we're
I
going to end
know
up
I
giving
didn't intend to be quick, but there it is.
short and sweet. So we'll definitely end up giving folks some time back on their calendar, which is great. So while you're looking through some of those questions, you know what, I'll share my webcam. Um, I did just want to mention that we will be following up with everyone with a link to the recording of this. And if we if questions come to mind after this, definitely reply back to the follow-up email or reach out to someone at Pharos and we can get you the answers you need. So you might have your questions now, but if something pops into your head later, we're still happy to help.
Right, and you can always email me if you wish to have a question answered, or your representative or support. There are many people you can always contact, but they always route to me. My email is jherald@pharos.com, JHERALD. You can see my name on the window there, but jherald@pharos.com if you need a question answered specifically about Uniprint or mobile print. One person asks here, is there someone we could contact at Pharos concerning our current version and what the best path forward is? Yes. If you have a contact that you work with normally, someone in the professional services group or customer services group, they can help you. If you don't have that, just open a support ticket and say, hey, I need to know how to get from here to Uniprint 9.1 Service Pack 2 or 3, wherever you are at this point. You can contact them and they can either help you or put you in touch with someone to get to that. So feel free to reach out to the resources that are available to you. Many people talking about the audio, some can hear, some can't. Much apologies for any problems. We certainly weren't aware of any from our end, and obviously it wasn't everybody having audio problems, but
I,
apologies.
I will comment on that real quick. I know majority of folks could hear you. What was shared was that when the session started, the window for choosing audio control had popped up behind where you were talking, and they didn't see that right away. So it's just a matter of some of the windows getting hidden for a couple people.
Right. SSO, someone mentions SSO for My Print Center. We do have that capability today. It uses CAS or Shibboleth or SAML types. Someone here specifically asks ADFS. We don't have any testing done with actual ADFS. My understanding is that it is a SAML type or can be configured as a SAML type, in which case it should be able to work. But we have not specifically built it to work with ADFS, have not done any testing on that specifically. Perhaps we can get back around to that in the fall, but my understanding is that it's capable of SAML communication and that it should work for us. You just use the Shibboleth communication type in the configuration. Cloud version of PMS out yet? I'm not sure what PMS is. Roughly in August, when will the iOS update and QR code be available? I'm going to be vague on that. We're trying for at least mid-August, if not sooner. But of course, we have a limited number of people on the support or on the development team, and you saw the list of things that we are working on, Chromebook being one of those items that is coming to near end, which of course is going to put a lot more resource toward the iOS and Android app updates. Android doesn't need a big update, it just needs to able to do the QR code and a few other minor changes, but the iOS app is going to be a pretty major change. And as we get closer to that and I can share documentation and screenshots and things like that about that with our customer base, I will do so, because we understand that that's a big change and you've got documents to change as well that your users need to see. So be watching for that. Hosted print services, someone wanted to know if you can do that. More or less, you can install Uniprint in a hosted server as well. You just have to make sure all of the communications are open and available between hosted servers and your premise premise network. It's not designed to work in a proper cloud multi-tenanted environment. It's clearly a premise product, but you can have servers that are off-site as long as the communications are available, and your customer services folks can help with that. That would be the group of Mark Decker, John Janikowski, Rich Post, um, Brad Nelson, Eric Best. Those guys can help you out with, and of course Lindsay and Laura and everybody else that you work with, Rachel. So they can always put you in touch with the right people to make sure that you get the communication or the configuration information you're looking for. You wanted to know, another person wanted to know about currently log in with single sign-on on Print Center. How will that work with the applications? Also, will QR codes need to be printed for every printer? You can, I'll answer the last part first. When you get the list of QR codes, you can print only those that you wish to share to the customer, and you can post only those to the printers that you wish to have them use. It will by default print a list for everything. So simply because that's the fastest way we can get it together. It's basically saying, I'm going to print a big PDF file full of QR codes and logos and documentation, or I'm sorry, names and information that you have about the printer that you wish to put on there. Then you can decide which ones you want to put it on the printer. You don't have to put it on all of them, just the ones that you want people to use. Single sign-on, again, I'm going to be a little vague on single sign-on by way of apps. We are not there yet with single sign-on on the apps. It's going to be single sign-on at Print Center as it is today. Apps use an alternate login method, which is typically either balanced against Uniprint or AD or whatever authentication method you normally would have. We understand that's a challenge for many people, but that's how it is today. That's how I expect it to be on our release of the updated apps in August, and then follow it up with some work on SSO. So more to come on that. What's the difference between someone using a Chromebook, a library gives out, and sending out jobs via our Print Center and domain, and your Chromebook extension? When somebody's using a Chromebook, if they're logging in with their credentials, their own Gmail account, that is what you're going to have to use to match up with the Uniprint account, whether that be at a library or college or middle school. That is the account that it is going to use to try to figure that out. If libraries are handing out Chromebooks that are already logged in with some library account, it's going to be a little challenging, no doubt about that. Now, Print Center can still be used at that point with or without Chromebook, whether you're using a Chromebook or a PC or a phone or a tablet or anything. You can still use Print Center to upload documents. If you can log into there from using the account that you have for Uniprint, whether that be your library card or whatever it may be, if the site allows that, you will be able to upload jobs as you do today. The Chromebook extension is specifically designed to provide a printer within the Chrome, ecosystem that they have, the ability to open up Google Docs or Google Sheets and do print from there. You will have a printer available to you. But the key factor that the extension brings is the ability to identify the user that is logged into the Chromebook and match it up with a Pharos account so that it can present them with their print jobs when they go to release them. Release date for Mobile Print 2.4, as soon as we can get it together. Like I said before, we were pretty much ready to release it a week or so ago, but we've just kind of stumbled onto something with the Google mail, and it's causing a little bit of concern, and I don't want to release it until we don't have any concern anymore. So stand by on that. All I can say is as soon as we can possibly make sure that we're comfortable with it, that's when you'll see it. Can the mobile app authenticate users from on-prem Active Directory? That's a yes, certainly can. You set up your system to authenticate through the Active Directory, it will allow that. QR code. We need to change to arrears printing after students use a number of use up their complementary prints. Is there a way to set an upper limit so students don't run a tab? I'm going to say maybe on that. You may need to talk to one of our professional services folks to get a script written that offers some limitations there. Based on a very limited question here in this forum, I don't have much to go on as to what it is you're trying to accomplish. So I'm going to say you're going to need to talk to someone who knows how to do scripting. They should be able to find ways to say, yeah, I've set a limit and make sure it doesn't go there. And there may be other ways depending on what it is you're asking. I'm just responding quickly to this question. Chrome Print configuration is the Print Center URL used for that? Yes, it's the same one that you would use for your Print Center. So if it would be, I'll just use an example, pharosprint.pharos.com/myprintcenter, you would simply put in the pharosprint.pharos.com, the server name. The My Print Center is assumed at that point, and then we have ways to work around it if you found ways to make the shortcut there of just the server name, make it work for Print Center. So yes, it's that same link. Is there extra licensing required for QR code use? No, it is the Uniprint and mobile print system that we have today. I will say this, the QR code may not require mobile print, although we certainly encourage people to use that because of its other capabilities. Chromebook printing will require mobile print. That is using a lot of the mobile print code. So it's you have to make sure that that's functional in the system. But mobile print was required for Google Cloud Print in the past. So anyone who was using Google Cloud Print feature would have had to have mobile print configured in the first place. So someone else asking about the print management solution. Do you foresee ADFS coming anytime in the near future? Again, I don't have information about ADFS specifically for our SSO solution. As I mentioned before, it's supposed to work with the SAML communication, so it'd be a try it and see kind of thing until we can get around to actually testing with ADFS. Is not on the radar for me until at best after September. So that's where that is. Someone's asking about the download of the video that will come out by way of an email after this that Lindsay will send out sometime in the next day or so that will say where the presentation can be viewed again.
Yep, we'll actually be posting it on our YouTube channel. So we will include a URL in our follow-up email, but you can also go to YouTube Pharos Systems and access the recording there, as well as all of our previous webinar recordings and other videos we've been posting. And subscribe.
Okay. Very good. Another question was, I may have already indicated this, but is the QR code iOS app going to be a service pack? No, it will not require a service pack. It will be post Service Pack 3. We'll also work with Service Pack 2, but it's an update to the Print Center that brings that alive. And again, that QR code printing feature will be found in Print Center, and that the apps will talk to that. So the apps will be separately released by way of their own particular stores, and then the QR code capability and the backend capability for that will be in a Print Center update that will come by way of your updater service or download from the community. Will mobile print support modern authentication for Outlook 365? Not sure what you mean by authentication there. We do, as I mentioned before, mobile print 2.4 coming out anytime soon here, will offer the ability for emails by way of Outlook 365 without having to use IMAP. You can use their authenticate or their system there. As far as authentication goes, I'm not quite sure, but you can send me an email about that, and I can talk to you directly, or we can you can talk to anybody else here at Pharos about that. QR code, will it be required? Will it work for a browser on a phone? I don't know yet. That's, again, it's kind of new for us, this QR code thing. There is a possible workflow, and I'm just going to throw this out as a very vague possibility. We've designed it to work with the apps, meaning it won't work with the browser, because we don't want to offer that on your desktops and tab, laptops that we don't want people walking around with those, pointing those cameras at things. It's not really designed for that. It's designed for mobile devices. But again, you can watch it on a browser on a phone as well. Although our crack squad of app developers said, we can just have it, you walk around with the camera open and point it at the QR code, and it can say, hey, I'm going to open up the browser and already select a printer for you. So stay tuned on that. It may be possible that we can do this from a browser, but I'm going to tell you that it was designed, the charter of trying to make this happen was done with the mindset of using apps. So more to come on that when we get there. Would be helpful if a student being in Mobile Print Center would be able to connect to Microsoft OneDrive to choose a file rather than downloading that. And we understand that. Again, that is not anywhere in what we're trying to do, but it is certainly on our roadmap for eventually. We understand that OneDrive and Box and Google Drive and things like that, we understand that people would like to be able to print them from there as much as possible is a goal. It is one of our goals as well, but I don't have a time frame on that at all at this point. There's a tab in Print Center Admin Google Cloud Print that will go away once the Google is no longer supported. That's a good question. When this Service Pack 3 comes out, it does not break Google Cloud Print. We understand that people may need some transition time to go from Google Cloud Print as it sits today between now and or between release time, which is soon, and the end of the year when Google ends support for it. They may need some time to transition. This does not break that simply by installing Service Pack 3. It just brings along the other opportunity to be able to use a Chromebook extension to send a job in. So it's up to you to do the transition from Google Cloud Print to Chromebook support. So in order to turn, we will be sending out some emails toward the end of the year about what you'll need to know to turn that off, but essentially Google's going to turn it off anyway, so it's going to simply die on the vine. You will simply need to turn off the Google Cloud Print service, and that's it. But any remnants that are still in the product will still be there. Unfortunately, we can't just easily remove that right away. If we did release, say, a service pack early 2021, we might be able to go ahead and take that out for you. But generally speaking, it's just going to be a remnant of the product at that point. Really don't have a lot of experience or a lot of opportunities in the past where someone has simply gotten rid of something that we were writing against. But I felt like it was easier to say, give their customers the ability to move from one thing to the other at their own pace so that they can decide. Some of you may decide you're going to use Google Cloud Print right on through December and then transition. I don't want to break that for you, so it doesn't. Thanks for the message about touchless printing. Is it possible to add a cover sheet to prints coming out through Pharos? There are some possibilities for that. Talk to support or a technical professional on, one of our professional services folks. There are ways to do that, to set up cover sheets. It's not a feature that has been all that popular in the past several years, but it's still in the products somewhere. Student emails a document to print. Will the instructions for touchless printing be put into the email notification? Email notifications can be customized however you wish. You have the ability to make modifications to the emails that come back to people from Mobile Print for that. But as far as instructions, typically we would expect that you might put a sign on your printer or near your printer on how they can get the app and to use the system. Most students are fairly adept at using QR codes for making things happen. So I'm not expecting a whole lot of training to be necessary for that, but if you want to make sure your emails come out with, when you send an email in, when you send something into mobile print and you get that response back that says you want to release your jobs, here's, they're ready for release, then you can customize that message to say whatever it is you want. There are ways to do that. Read the documentation on that. Someone here mentioned that one customer uses ADFS and SAML does not work with their configuration, and they would also look for those. So point noted, ADFS needs some attention in the future. And then another person says ADFS uses SAML. So it depends entirely on the way it's configured, I'm guessing here. So will QR code printing only show the jobs that are associated with the selected printer, or will it show all jobs in the queue? It will do as you have it set today for print release. If you go to the print release station and you're only showing jobs associated with that printer, that's what it's going to do. If you, but essentially it's primarily by user, right? So if you log into the print release station, you're going to get the same response you do there as you do today. So if it's associated by user, you're going to see all the jobs that belong to the user that are appropriate for that printer. And if you see everybody's job today, that's what you're going to continue to see. That will continue to do that. Next question is currently the last question. How does QR code release work for changing if one has multiple cost centers assigned? The QR code release is designed to select the printer. So it's the same basic functionality as if you were allowing customers to use to release today. As I mentioned in the presentation, that we can do that today. You can allow them to release print jobs. The QR code is designed to provide that capability, the ability to select the printer. The costing happens separately. So you will be presented, the user will be presented with a final screen before they print their job that says, how will you pay for this? Here are your funds, here are your cost centers, the same thing as it does today. It will continue to do that. The purpose of the QR code is not to simply start the print job, it is to select the printer so that it knows where to send it. And another question here that says, what is the name of the Pharos app for Android? You'll find that in the Google Play Store under Pharos Print. You will find that there. It's also called Pharos Print. I believe we had that there. If you see on the upper center, you can see what it looks like on the iOS store, the Apple Store. It's much the same on the Play Store as well. It's called Pharos Print. That is the one that is used for mobile print and blueprint, in fact. So that is where you will find it. And can you add a slug mark using Uniprint to identify the jobs sent to a service bureau? I don't know what a slug mark is, but I'm going to say it might be similar to a watermark, but I'm going to say no. It is not possible for us to do that with Uniprint. So with that said, looks to be the last question. And Lindsay, have something else?
Yeah, I did just want to mention that I saw that Mark Decker commented in the questions about the ADFS, and he said that he's pretty sure we've done an ADFS SSO and it required a small tweak to work, but that it might not work on the first attempt and might just might need some tweaking.
Thanks, Mark or Decker. Much appreciated on that. And so it seems like we have a bit of a toss-up on the ADFS. It depends somewhat on how the ADFS system is set up. If it uses SAML type, then it will work. If it doesn't work natively, it may need a little pressure to make that work. We can help you with that. And if it's simply not set up to work that way at all, then it may not work for you. Again, ADFS was not something that we built for. It's something we'll have to attend to in the future. So stand by on that. Last question here was, can we brand the Pharos app to our university standards? Somewhat, yes. The the theming that you can set up with Print Center today flows through to the way the app looks. Now you can see at the top on this, the way it looks here, you can see this yellow at the top. We are going to neutralize that yellow in the next release. The configuration page when you log in, it has the big Pharos logo and it says uh, it's Pharos yellow and it has the login and that sort of thing. That's going to stay our Pharos yellow. But once you move past that screen, then your colors will be, as you see on this, on my screen here, I'm hoping it's still showing, everything below this yellow line follows the customization theme that you have in your Print Center. That yellow line, we're going to neutralize that to a nice neutral gray so that it doesn't conflict with other people's, because we understand that's bright and right there, and doesn't need to be bright and right there. So uh, you'll be able to customize everything below that line. That line will be moved to a nice neutral gray. Will Uniprint require new, Service Pack 3 require new driver packages? No. Updates to PC release stations, don't have any major updates to PC release stations coming out with Service Pack 3. There is a minor change to PC release stations based on some problems we've had with the reconnecting, where you get into the where it's trying to reconnect to the system, and you walk up into a station that's been sitting there a while, and you move the mouse, and it takes several minutes for it to connect. We've got a setting that you can change if that's a real problem in your site. You can make it a little less disconnecty, so that it will make a better connection. But as far as the functionality goes, the PC release station update that we provided some time ago that allows Print Center to be your interface, or the old interface that's been there for years, you still have both options. There aren't any major updates to there. And I'll thank Paul for thank you for this informative presentation. I hope you all have found it informative. And again, we will be sending information after this presentation. We appreciate all of you being here. I looked at the attendees list here, and it hasn't dropped much, so most of you stayed the whole time, and very much appreciated of you being here. Always enjoy making sure that we give you the information that we have available at the time. And again, as always, things are subject to change, but hang in there. It's been a rough few months, and we've got a very interesting remainder of the year coming up. So we're here to support you. Lindsay, anything else?
No, I just wanted to add that there was a question asking if there'd be a transcript of all the questions and answers. Because normally when we do follow-up, we just reply back with your answer to your question. But we can certainly collect all these questions, get the answers, and send them out to folks if you're interested in getting the whole collection of what people have
Sure.
asked and our responses. So we can do that.
And that takes a little time for us to do, so be patient.
Are you busy working on Uniprint stuff, Jeff,
I know.
to type all
What
these
else I've
answers
got to
up?
do? Well, we'll get to them as
So
quickly as we can, and we do appreciate you, and thank you, and hope you have a great rest of your week.
perfect. Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing everyone at future events. Thank you.